Balewa local government area of Bauchi State. There are 3 polling units here. Tafa Balewa Gabas 1, 2, and 3. It's past noon and voting is yet to commence in Tafa Balewa polling unit 2. There is nobody on ground to operate the card reader, and the electorates are growing impatient. They have been grumbling, saying that they've been here since 8 a.m. to vote.
To my greatest surprise, all over the country, voting have commenced. But our polling unit, up till this hour, nothing has started. And we are surprised. We don't know what's going on. That is why people are complaining, to tell the nation that we are actually gotten a wrong impression about this.
Electoral materials generally arrived at this polling units late. They came in around past 10. From Tafa Balewa town, in Tafa Balewa local government area of Bauchi State, I am Hajara Aliu for Channels Television.
Thanks a lot, Hajara. You heard her there.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. That's as at 2, no voting.
No voting.
Wow.
It's something that, again, we talked about some other places where they've been
told. But how long would they extend the process? That's the question.
They said the amount of time lost. If voting was supposed to start at 8 till 2, and as at 2 you've not started.
So we're looking at 2
will be added to 2. That is going to about 8 in the evening.
But sorry, hold on. Let us go to Abuja first and see, because they have actually been waiting on us. Let me come to you, Mr. Wangu. I'm sure you've heard the reports that have been coming in all day. Slow in some places, it's okay in some places. What do you make of what you've experienced so far today?
For the punctuality index for electoral officials to arrive polling units across the country, from what we got as at 10 a.m., it was, according to watching the vote observers across the country, it was 41%. By 11:30, it shot up to about 74%. So really, the reports that we're getting, and from what we have also seen in some of your reporters as well, corroborate the fact that we didn't do too well in terms of the times that the polls opened today. For many places, these complaints are real, they are there. But what I'm more interested in is to see how the electoral management body is able to respond to some of those challenges and how quickly they are able to do that.
We've all been reporting this election. I mean, like you said, your group, and even from here in the studio as well. Do you think the answer is continuously to say, let's extend voting to it? What can we do? We talked so much about logistics last week and, this week as well. And here we go again, logistics. How can we do it better?
Well, the bigger issue will be to say that we're already here. How can we do it better? It's to ensure that, first and foremost, if it's the issue of the smart card reader, we were told that there are registration area technical assistants that they are called RATAC that would ordinarily be moved in to troubleshoot the card reader. But across the country, especially from Imo State and most of the southeast, there seems to be a complete, collapse of the card reader system. And as at the time I came to the studio, it doesn't seem that there is any serious work going on to help the situation. But how can we do it better? One of the ways is to be honest, to be transparent in terms of where we are with the challenges that we face. Like I said last week, what is right now is a national emergency, national electoral emergency. And what it requires will have been to get all the stakeholders, everyone together, understanding where we are, the challenges that we face, and how to engage it and get the ideas that are necessary. But the response that we got was that we were having daily briefings from INEC. Most of those daily briefings were confidence building, rather than opening up and saying clearly, this is the challenges, this is what we are going to do. We have come to that point now where all stakeholders, not just INEC, political parties and everyone will have to engage these issues, and we have to discuss our elections after now. somebody in your studio earlier today talks about election audit. We don't undertake any election audit. We it's like Christmas. Once it's over, we are gone with. We move on to the next thing, and then it goes. So we need to after this general elections, we have to come to the round table. There are so many things to discuss. The issue of logistics, we need to deal with it. We want to look at the cost in terms of even what we are throwing in. We want to look at this whole card reader, you know, the card reader. Why would you have a machine that you can't vote with, for instance? That just simply authenticates, confirms, and then so all of those issues need to come into the mix. We want to look at the vests, the tags, all of these issues that we are putting in. How do we drive these elections through? How does it become more technologically driven than the things that we are forced into? And I think, so what can we do better? Election audit will be the better thing. We need to start immediately after this election to engage these issues more seriously than we have done in the past.
Okay,
well, finally, it appears now I can get a word in, Mr. Wangu, because I've been trying to put you on pause for more than a minute because we wanted to go to Newark, New Jersey to speak to some Nigerians there about, today we're voting the kind of leader that Nigeria needs. So we go to Newark, New Jersey in the United States.
To make Nigeria great is a collective responsibility, and every one of us must exercise and go to poll, vote wisely, separate fact from fiction, separate propaganda from real event, and cast your vote as your conscience dictates.
I will strongly admonish our people to look at the candidates and see, number one, who has the interest of the people in mind? Number two, who is enlightened to bring modernization, civilization to the nation? We have resources, it's being wasted. We have brain power, manpower, everything is being unutilized to the full potential that it should be utilized. So therefore, let us look for leaders that are innovative, leaders that are creative, leaders that are visionary. And I hope among the choices we have, you will be able to identify somebody.
I wish that Nigerians to be faithful, to be peaceful, no violence, just let your vote speak for you. Let your vote speak for you. So go out there and vote. Make sure, again, let me reiterate that the politicians, no matter what they say, they do not have a higher stake than yourself. As a matter of fact, you who is not a politician, you have a higher stake because you have children to raise in Nigeria, you have people to provide for, so you need somebody that would offer solution to the numerous problems of Nigeria, to the economic issues that Nigeria is going through. So do not let these politicians fool you again, regardless of who it is. Think about your future. Think about the future of your children. Think about where Nigeria should be, and that Nigeria isn't already.
Okay, Nigerians in Newark, New Jersey in the United States, talking about the kind of leader and the kind of motivation that should guide voters today, even as voting progresses. Now, I want to come to you, Professor Odinkalu. There's a question I have to ask, but first I want to ask, what's your impression of the voting process so far?
Thank you very much. It seems to me that I think Egmont Fola from Lagos there with you, and Ezenwa have pretty much covered that ground. There's tremendous unevenness across the board with what's transpired. My own focus, as you well know, through much of this period is violence and security and violence. And there's a tremendous amount of information that we've got suggesting levels of violence in parts of the country that are worrying. You've mentioned Rivers State. Kogi State is reporting something similar. Two people, at least we've confirmed at least 2 deaths in Ebonyi State, for instance. The numbers we're still working the numbers in Rivers State. And we want to be very certain about the numbers, but the Gaidam is reporting some fatalities. Maiduguri is reporting some fatalities. So the violence is worrying, and the patterns of violence are varying from projectiles in the Niger Delta to close contact, intimate violence in parts of the Northwest. So we're watching that. There are other patterns that are also emerging in terms of, as I was talked about, the supply of materials earlier today, and I thought that's right on the mark. And then attacks on voting conurbations. The people who speak Yoruba will know what Werekbe is. In one particular place in Koka, in Surulere, some characters came and assaulted voters with Werekbe. And so you had this outbreak of itching and scratching across several polling units. They had to resort to some rather interesting ways of trying to address that, but that disrupted voting. So there's been everything in play today, but the INEC Situation Room is aware of that and is trying to do some things to help in many of these.
Now, in our previous conversations with you, you had identified some key areas where you said there would already, even with every other thing was okay, there would be challenge with the voting process. You mentioned some area in Zamfara. You mentioned some in Borno. What has been the report you've received from those areas today?
Nothing different, actually, because of what INEC has said. Some of the places where logistics have been reported as difficult in some parts were entirely predictable. It's easy to say, well, we will extend voting. But the fact of the matter is that if you live close to the Darazo forest, for instance, in Bauchi or Gombe, nobody is going to tell you to extend voting, to go and start voting at 10 p.m. You're not going to show up. Exactly. So it seems to me, if you are in Buguma and somebody is telling you to go and continue voting at 9 p.m., you will not be very intelligent to listen to that person, it seems to me. So I think there are limits to how far you can extend voting today. INEC has passed under Section 26 of the Electoral Act to extend voting into tomorrow or to exercise other dispositions that will be conducive to protecting the franchise. And I believe that at some point today, INEC is going to start considering those.
Okay, we'll come to you, Mrs. Azogo, but let's just go quickly now to our correspondent in Abeokuta, Timothy, Abeokuta in Ogun State, and he wants to give us a situation report. How's it going, Timothy?
Exercises have been Voting exercises have been concluded across Ogun State, but no. Voting exercises have been concluded across Ogun State. It's generally been a peaceful conduct. As early as 8 a.m., voters are seen arriving at polling booths to cast their votes. But it's not been totally itch-free. In some of the places that we visited, INEC officials did not arrive those centers on time. Voters had to wait a few minutes before 10 a.m. before the materials arrived. And yet, in other places, there were not enough materials. In a particular place that we visited, where there were 710 registered voters, INEC made provision for 400 ballot papers for the president, 600 for the Senate, and 500 for the House of Representatives. There were issues of card reader having itches so much that INEC had to resort to manual accreditation, but generally being a peaceful conduct. Some have argued that the process where presiding officers had to sign over leaf each of the ballot papers is cumbersome. Voting concluded, sorting concluded, counting continues. From Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, Timothy Crown, Aderibigbe, Channels Television News.
Thanks a lot, Timothy. He talked about voting, he talked about counting, and he talked about the fact that it continues. And also he talked about the card reader having a few challenges in that area, even though it was generally peaceful. Yes, Auntie?
But he also talked about something he mentioned, which I would ask Mr. Zogo about, where he talked about number of registered voters, 710 in one particular location, and INEC provided materials for 400. That happened also somewhere in Lagos here. Mr. Zogo, in all that you've received, the information that's gotten to you so far and your observation, did you come across this kind of situation where you are?
Where I am or where I voted, seemed the materials were adequate. A lot of people were already on ground by 6 a.m. in the morning. I got there a little after 7, and there was a process of taking numbers, trying to queue up on everything. But in Mabushi over there are quite a lot of, it's a highly populated place. So after some time, it was disrupted. The INEC officials came in just a few minutes before 8 o'clock. The materials were adequate, but I think what was prevalent over there was that there was a lot of confusion. Even the coppers, the INEC officials seemed to believe this was this or this was that. They were not in sync, but the materials were adequate. And there were so many people. It was a polling booth for 010 and 011. And I think they had about five polling units all put together in the whole place.
I was going to ask Mr. Tawari, yes. That information, that's Ogun State, Southwest Nigeria. Somewhere in Lagos also, there was also that report about inadequate materials. And in some other place, when the INEC official came up to say materials are inadequate, he was mobbed. That happened somewhere around Koshofe area. But what did you get?
There are organizational failures. This is not rocket science. This is just being organized and making sure you have the figures of the polling booth. What prevents, you know, the correct numbers? And remember, one of the things is that over the years, because of the way we have reported elections, the narrative of elections, the narrative is always about rigging and violence. That's the narrative. And then you restrict movement also, which is so you are dealing with voters who are anxious.
Is it that INEC is not organized, or they are saboteurs?
No. I don't know. That sabotage thing is...
Let him make his point. Let him make his point.
The sabotage excuse is a very easy excuse, because you don't, unless you prove it. Let's forget, unless there is evidence of sabotage. You know, our governments over the years, where there have been governance failures, they say it's sabotage. For instance, let's take waste disposal, right? I can, if I'm incapable of cleaning up the waste, I can say that it's saboteurs who are pouring waste on the road in the night, but you can't prove it. So I don't think that addresses the issue. The issue is, like the gentleman said, and echoing me, we need to do an audit. There must be a reason why 700 voters and 600, there's a reason. It means somebody didn't do the correct counting, etc., etc. So I think that many of the problems are human and management.
I asked before your next question, we need to take a break. We need to take a break. We need to take a break. We'll continue with this line of questioning after the break. After this break.
At my constituency here, I'm pleased people are already lined up, so I will save time to go so they can continue. Nigerians understand that they are behaving themselves.
Are you all full?
What?
The outcome of this exercise. Are you all full?
Are you hopeful, sir?
Very hopeful indeed.
But if you lose this election, will you accept defeat and congratulate the winner and hand over power eventually?
I will congratulate myself. I'm going to be the winner.
So far, so good. I am impressed with the turnout of people, and I hope the presiding officers or the electoral officer will be able to cope with the turnout. I look forward to a successful transition. That's what I look forward to. Thank you. Will you be okay with the result, whatever way it is? I am a Democrat. Thank you. Let's go.
Voting for my party, and I'm voting for a new Nigeria. So that it's a great feeling. Nigeria is at a junction, and we have the opportunity to choose a new direction for our nation and a new generation of people that will lead us there. And I'm very excited that that's what we're doing. I guess that's the excitement a lot of people feel out there. Well, the process is quite slow. And I'm hoping that we will be able to find a way to speeden that up. A couple of the card readers, the batteries had run down and they didn't have recharge. So we hear that they're bringing rechargeable batteries and all of that for them. We hope that they can speeden up the process, otherwise people are going to get very frustrated. And so we're hoping for the best.
When I came here this morning, there was a delay of 2.5 hours. By 10:30, I still could not vote. And so, you know, are they going to extend the time for people to be able to join the queue to vote by 3 hours? I am requesting that. I'm filing a formal complaint about the delay in opening the ballot center here. And this is happening in many other parts of Nnewi North local government area. So it's difficult to say you have faith in the process. We just have to wait and see, because there is no project management approach to voting and elections in this country.